Hello, lovely people. Today we're going to take a look at empaths and narcissists. I almost said empaths versus narcissists because, of course, they're two polar opposites in many ways. However, just like you get a magnetic attraction between a positive and a negative force, so it is with empaths and narcissists. They're almost like the flip sides of the same coin. Why is that? Well, the common aspect of both personality or person types is that the individual looks outside of themselves for energy, for validation, for love, for fulfillment. A narcissist does it by lacking within, and therefore they have this insatiable need for supply. In contrast, an empath is someone who, because of their deep sensitivity, as the name suggests, their deep empathy, they have a lot of compassion for those around them, and they get fulfillment from feeling that they're helping. It's the saving someone trap. And of course, this lends itself perfectly to a narcissist because this open floodgate of compassion gives them narcissistic supply. What then happens to the empath? It almost becomes, it's a trauma bonding or a trauma dynamic. They give and give and give to the black hole that is the narcissist. The narcissist will flip this back on them. So what I mean by that is that, say there's some bad behavior from the narcissist towards the empath. The empath, because of the personality or the person type, is readily accepting of blame. An empath is someone who will be the first person to say it's my fault. They'll take on, therefore, the guilt, the shame. Sometimes they feel like they're even becoming narcissistic themselves because the narcissist will basically dump all those negative things onto the empath and make out to the empath that it is them, the narcissist, who is the victim, rather than the empath who's taking on this bad behavior and then adding insult to injury, is also taking on the negative feelings of the narcissist of shame or guilt. Because a narcissist lacks the ability to take responsibility, and therefore their sort of perfect counterpart in a very toxic way is an empath, because an empath will take on too much. They are the person who is overburdened with the responsibilities of everyone else's stuff, and they carry that around and it weighs them down more and more heavily. Added to that, their sort of open door of empathy, they are very, very easily drained. So there are a few signposts for an empath to be aware of. The first and most important is to know that you are an empath. That is, as I've just briefly outlined, and there's tons of information on it, and I'll make some more videos on empaths as well. But basically, you are somebody who, you're very sensitive, you're highly sensitive, you pick up really easily on the emotions, the feelings, the energies of those around you. And because you may have not learnt how to refine your superpower, because it is a superpower being an empath, you may lack boundaries. You may not know how to shield yourself or protect yourself from those energies around you. And so you become quite burdened You may become really tired, overwhelmed, anxious after a day out and about at work or at school or just out and about in the world. So understand that there's nothing wrong with you. You are essentially a sponge when you're an empath. So know that about yourself and view yourself quite objectively in that way, because when you do, you stop doing the second thing that an empath does, which is blame themselves, take on the negative things of those around them and say, it must be my fault. Of course, in contrast, a narcissist will never do that. They will never take responsibility for themselves. And so as an empath, if you are in a dynamic of any kind with a narcissist, that's a big signpost for you. Do not take on their stuff. Do not accept blame or responsibility for that person. Accept that that person may be incapable of taking that step themselves, but that doesn't mean that you have to take that on for them. And finally, the third sort of signpost for an empath when you're dealing with a narcissist is to really start to work on what I've just touched on, the boundaries, because that is how you will break the loop, the toxic dance, the trauma bonding that you've got into with the narcissist. Start to see how you have literally taken on their feelings of guilt or shame around poor behavior, around abuse, or whatever has happened in the dynamic. It can be things. I was just thinking a good example is words spoken. So with a narcissist, you'll find that they twist your words often back onto you. And what an empath can sometimes do is go, oh, maybe I did say that. So just be really clear with yourself that you actually know what you've said. You are responsible for your behavior and you know how you've behaved in this dynamic. And start to really distance yourself, stand back from it and see it objectively. Take your emotions out of it, in this case, it's very useful, and look at it objectively, look at the dynamic objectively, and understand how, because there's this lack of boundaries between both you and the narcissist, you have pretty much been like a superhighway for all their negative, toxic stuff to be dumped on you. And then what you can do is you can maintain better boundaries with that person. You can also give back to them in an energetic way. It's totally fine, probably preferable, because if you approach a narcissist and say, you did this, you did that, and I'm not taking that from you anymore, you'll probably find that they'll just start the behavior all over again and twist it around and make it about you. But energetically, you can say, hey, I'm not taking that on. That was actually never my stuff in the first place. So know when you're an empath, know the characteristics that entails. Also know the characteristics of a narcissist and see how, by both being so open to accepting energy from others, you've become caught up in something that is very unbeneficial to you, the empath. And then you can, piece by piece, start to withdraw from the dynamic, heal and protect your energy, and then you will be fine. Thank you.